Okay, with this video, I just want to go over the grading, particularly the grading on essay number 1. Kind of show you kind of what I do when I'm grading, so you can kind of understand what you're reading when you get your essay back. I grade these essays using the tracking function in Word, and what that does is when I make commentary, well, if I can spell, it comes up in red, and when I save it in PDF, it stays red. So, when it pops up on your computer, you see all this red stuff, it's like, and all the highlights. But you want to kind of take a breath and kind of work your way through the graded essay, see what I'm saying there. And what I do is I also use the autocorrect function. So like if I see awkward phrasing, I might highlight it. And then like I got K, then the accent thing, and it'll turn it to awkward phrasing. And that's kind of how I provide the commentary as I go throughout the paper. I also highlight things. You're not supposed to use it in the paper, so if you used it, I highlighted it and pointed it out to you. Sometimes I have to watch out. It'll reformat the essay. Not sure what's going on there. But anyway, we won't worry about it too much. But I use that tracking function, so sometimes if you have the same error, you'll kind of see the same comment. I'm not going to sit there and type out, every little thing I mark on a paper, right? That's kind of one that helps me get through the essays quicker, and it allows me to provide more commentary on your paper. But you want to work your way through the paper. You should have a full sentence on both sides of a semicolon, so if I'm putting punctuation there, that's probably the problem. You have its key points is not a full sentence. You may not need a colon in certain places. If I put wrong word, she's looking for etc., not ext. So that's the wrong word there. That's the wording error. And you'll see later on she's going to lose a point for that. And as you go through the essay, if you just find isolated errors, I'll note them. But if you only see one, that's probably not something I'm going to really pick up on too much. I just mark it so you know that there was something wrong there. You need to take a look at it. Particularly when you go to revise it to post in journal portfolio, you want to take note and fix that. But she's got a few its there. What she probably needs to do is go to the find thing, hit space IT. Already did it. And it'll point out anything with a space and an IT in your essay. If you don't hit the space, then a word like spit or little, it's going to pop that IT up in those words. So it's a good way to go through and find the its in the essay. Where's that there? And again, you want to go through the essay. If you have pattern of comma splices, run together sentences, fragments, very awkward sentences, start having patterns of those more than two or two or more, then you want to watch out. That'll take you down to the B- C+ level on the basic writing grade. So sometimes kind of long commentary just may be a punctuation error, and sometimes a shorter thing might be very, very important. She only has one comma splice in this essay, so again, something she should kind of take note of, but if she's not having a pattern, we're not freaking out about it too much. The its are a bit of a problem there. With awkward sentences, that just means there's probably more than one thing wrong with the sentence. You might have multiple missing words, or just you tried to fix something, cut and pasted something, or just something didn't quite work right. And the way to find those is to have someone read your essay to you before you turn it in, especially one of your children. They love to find errors in their parents' writing. At least mine do. And you'll hear it. Where self-regulated learning points are involved, the highest ranking are self-awareness, planning, and organization, and motivation, of which I have taken the time to enroll in everything I do to make myself the best college student I can become. Just like, wow, she needs to go back and revise that sentence. We all write sentences like that sometimes. I just send an email out with a sentence like that. I'm like, I'm supposed to be the English teacher, right? But again, if she'd had somebody read that to her, she probably would have heard it say like, that's not what I wrote. And they go like, well, yeah, it is. And she can go fix it. You might be missing a word with an omitted word. Might ask you to hyphenate things. If you're putting words together that don't normally go together grammatically, you need to hyphenate them so they become one word. But eventually, everybody's going to have different commentary. And you'll see when you get to the grading sheet that I use, again, I copy and paste that into your document. you're going to see the commentary on your essay. If you see things highlighted, that's something I want you to really kind of take a look at. Make sure you understand what I'm saying there. You know, I'd probably highlight something like eliminate it if you have a bunch of them in there. Make sure, kind of like, hey, don't do this anymore. Well, I'm also saying, hey, do you understand what the concern is in the essay? Then you'll get to the grading sheet, and generally, if I say it's pretty good, I mean it's pretty good, or pretty decent essay. You know, pretty decent, good job. But you'll get to the grading sheet itself. Whoops, got a math problem. Hold on. Sometimes the tracking function can be aggravating. But I'll come down here if you see something highlighted. That's something to watch out for. That's where you're losing points. Probably complain about the thesis points being repeated in the conclusion. But you get a basic writing grade. All this is where I'm dealing with all these questions about, you know, paragraph development, essay development, English errors. Are you using good examples? This essay actually had some good examples in it. And I assigned it a general grading range. If the conclusion is not quite right, and you're having trouble with a lot of its or grammar errors, gonna pull you down to the B range a little bit. But that's the basic writing grade. And I transfer that into a numerical score. Then the editing required elements is usually just right or wrong. If you have wrong words, they're wrong. If you have it in there, it's it. The semicolon's not quite right. You know, it's not right. If you're missing something, generally I'll note that up here in the commentary. And like quite a few on the first essays tend to omit the dashes for some reason. Excuse me. So you might lose points there. And if you participated in rough drafts in the peer review process, you get points there, or you lose points if you didn't. But I add up those 3 grades. I can get that all on one screen there. And I get the grade down there at the bottom. That whatever grade out of 100 is your final grade for the paper. So sometimes people can do, you know, quite well on the basic writing, then have some problems with editing or required elements. That'll bring the grade down. Or vice versa, they may have some problems with the basic writing grade, but do well with the editing required elements and the rough draft grades. That brings the grade up. But hopefully, as we go through the course, these bottom elements become grades that boost you up, right? You stop using it in the essay. You make sure you check for the wrong words. You make sure you have the required punctuation going. That should kind of bring the grade up a little. But that 79 out of 100 would be the final grade for the paper. That's what I'm going to put in D2L. If you have questions about the grading, you want to let me know. If you think I made an error, you definitely want to let me know. Sometimes I'll put something like missing dashes and then put a question mark after that. I'm asking you if I might have missed it. That's one punctuation I can't go searching for with the find function. I can find your semicolons and colons. But that's kind of how the grading works. As always, if you have a question about a grade, let me know. I try not to make mistakes, but obviously I'm a human being, and I will make one once in a while. But hopefully it kind of helps you to see what I'm looking at when I'm grading, and what you should be looking at as you look at that graded essay when you get it back. Again, it's the patterns of errors you really want to watch out for, though, and those will kind of tend to bring the grade down a little bit. But if you have any questions, let me know. I'm going to hush up now. We'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.